Today we'll learn about HDMI cables, widely used with display devices. Just 10 years ago, VGA cables, also known as D-sub, or the more complex DVI cables, were commonly used to connect monitors. But as higher resolutions required more video data, existing standards became insufficient. A few years ago, connecting devices like PlayStation 2, set-top boxes, or DVD players to a TV often involved composite cables. To connect both audio and video signals, you had to use an RCA cable with 3 wires. For enhanced video quality, a component video cable was necessary to separate the brightness and color signals. The back of the TV ended up being a tangled mess. PC manufacturers developed the DVR standard. Unlike the analog VGA cable, it supported digital transmission. This eliminated color distortions from loose connections and increased transmission speeds for more stable high-definition displays. However, it could only carry video signals. Also, its large connector size was an issue for AV devices needing smaller ports. It wasn't easy to implement this. With personal computer companies taking a back seat, audiovisual companies united to create this HDMI standard. HDMI supports high resolution from the start and handles both video and audio. While older cables were only capable of transmitting video signals, with HDMI, you only need a single cable for both video and audio signals, making it much cleaner. The standard began by combining the DVI digital video signal and the SPDIF audio signal. If there is a conversion adapter for the standard DVI connector, it is compatible. It has eliminated many RCA component and even DVI cables. Most modern graphics cards support HDMI ports without VGA or DVI ports. In your electronic devices, if you have ports or cables that look like this, they support the HDMI standard. There are various types and sizes of multimedia devices. While the transmission speed with 19 pins remains the same, 3 different connector standards are supported. If the desired resolution doesn't appear on the monitor, the mouse movements seem choppy, or the video stutters when you connect an HDMI cable, check the HDMI version first. There are so many features supported. Currently, the most widely used HDMI versions are 1.4, 2.0, and 2.1. Like with USB standards, higher HDMI versions mean greater bandwidth. This allows for more video and audio data transmission. Now let's discuss the features of each version. To understand HDMI versions, you need to know 2 things first. Resolution refers to how closely packed the pixels are, such as in Full HD or 4K. The refresh rate indicates how many frames can be displayed on the screen per second. Generally, most monitors support 60 Hz, meaning they can show 60 frames per second. The more frames that can be displayed per second, the smoother the video appears. If you need high resolution and high refresh rate support, it means transmitting more data at a higher resolution per second. You need an HDMI port and cable that support higher data transfer within the same HDMI version. If the resolution increases, the refresh rate drops. Conversely, lowering the resolution raises the refresh rate. Let's check the details of each version. HDMI 1.4, the most commonly used version, supports a 120 Hz refresh rate for FHD displays. 4K, which is 4 times FHD, only supports 24 Hz to 30 Hz, so the display might not be very smooth. If you use HDMI 2.0, it supports 60 Hz at 4K, so it's good. In the later versions, HDMI 2.0A and 2.0B, you can use high dynamic range HDR. Just HDMI 2.0 will work. It must be 2.0A or 2.0B. But now, many high-spec games need over 120 Hz refresh rate. A new version called 2.1 has been announced. It includes dynamic HDR, improving existing HDR and audio processing. It also compresses data for transmission, supporting up to 10K at 120 Hz. To summarize usage by version for HD, most HDMI cables of version 1.4 or higher will suffice. For 4K, although 1.4 can work, at least version 2.0 is recommended. For cables used with your TV, we recommend using version 2.0A or higher to enjoy effects like HDR.